ignorée. Pourtant capable des plus grands prodiges. Une plante qui déploie des stratégies fabuleuses pour conquérir le monde. Et flirter avec l'immortalité. Longtemps sous-estimée, elle passionne les chercheurs qui tentent de percer ses mystères. Elle pousse partout sur la planète, transcende le paysage et révèle des mondes magiques, insoupçonnés. Les quelques grammes que pèse cet organisme nous racontent une histoire exceptionnelle du monde. Les mousses sont indispensables à la vie sur Terre. Elles bouleversent notre planète depuis la nuit des temps. Il existe un pays où les mousses sont célébrées comme des demi-dieux. Les Japonais les regardent comme un occidental regarde une constellation d'étoiles, avec le même vertige et la même dimension surnaturelle. Ici, on vénère les esprits qui incarnent les forces de la nature, comme le vent, les rivières, les animaux ou les mousses. On les laisse recouvrir les lieux sacrés en évitant de les déranger. On cultive ces végétaux avec un art et une patience infinie. Tout est mis en œuvre pour protéger la mousse et la contempler. Le moindre détail compte. Ce n'est plus du jardinage, c'est de l'orfèvrerie. Tout ce qui fait obstacle à la mousse est minutieusement éliminé. Comme si chaque brin représentait un véritable trésor.
Depuis les temps anciens, les Japonais reproduisent l'immensité de l'univers en miniature dans les jardins. C'est ainsi que de nombreux jardins ont représenté le monde. Les Japonais trouvent un équilibre spirituel en recréant cet univers idéal tout près d'eux. Les mousses sont d'un vert uniforme. Il n'y a pas de couleur vive comme pour les fleurs. Mais lorsqu'une personne s'imprègne de ce vert uniforme et qu'elle y trouve l'apaisement de son âme, elle sent que cette beauté imparfaite est l'essence même de la perfection esthétique. C'est ce qui fait notamment la beauté de la mousse.
Le jardin du côté des rats, aussi appelé le temple des mousses, est un refuge extraordinaire. Ordinaire. On y trouve
Joseph Stalin, the 20th century dictator of the Soviet Union, was known for silencing his opponents by any means possible. He carried out arrests and killings at the slightest suspicion. The number of his victims easily ran into millions. In the early 1950s, as part of an anti-Semitic campaign, Stalin spread a rumor that Jewish doctors from the Kremlin were plotting to assassinate key members of the government. The trial against the Kremlin doctors was to commence within weeks. In 1953, he was 73 and not in his best health. It is said that he suffered a stroke, but his assistants hesitated to call a doctor for almost 24 hours because of the ongoing purge. They believed that calling a doctor would mean going against the dictator, and they would be punished for it. Hence, his image as an unrivaled dictator, achieved by committing brutal crimes, was responsible for his agonizing death. One can never escape their deeds. The consequences show up sooner or later. This is the concept of karma, which is often colloquially understood as a form of retribution and justice provided by nature. It is seen as part of a natural order of things, called riti in Vedic terminology. But karma is not merely retribution, otherwise it would become an anthropocentric concept. Karma rather is a more fundamental law that applies to the entire cosmos. The word karma is derived from the Sanskrit word karmani, meaning act. The law of karma, in its different aspects, may be regarded as the law of the conservation of moral values. The concept is beautifully described in a stanza of the book The Light of Asia by Sir Edwin Arnold. That which ye sow, ye reap. See yonder fields. The sesamum was sesamum, the corn was corn, the silence and the darkness knew. So is a man's fate worn? Here the present circumstances of a person are termed as fate, but this fate is not an arbitrary assignment. It is the result of our past actions. Just as a seed grows into a plant, our past actions fructify into our current circumstances, which we have to bear and term as fate. It is neither God's injustice nor demonic mischief that we face evil. Our suffering is due to our own actions. Further, our current actions determine the condition of the future. Hence, we ourselves determine our destiny. Good begets good, and vice versa. But this philosophical conception has a flaw and is still incomplete. We often see that there is injustice in this world. Very often, corrupt and powerful get away with serious crimes, while innocents suffer. This experiential fact does not sit well with the law of karma. This is where the metaphysical concept of rebirth comes in. Rebirth is one of the central tenets of Indian religious teachings. It refers to the idea that the soul can begin a new life after the death of its physical body in another body. The impressions of karma, called samskara, can transfer from one life to the next. Hence, if someone seems to be suffering disproportionately, then it can be explained by their bad deeds in the past lives. Similarly, if the misdeeds of a person remain unaccountable in the present life, one can be sure that karma will catch up in the next life. Karma is not only the action and its consequences, it is also the force that assigns the fruits of actions to the individuals. Karma is impartial, unbiased, and devoid of empathy. It simply acts as a rule follower, without any favor or ill will towards its recipients. During one's lifetime, one performs actions and accumulates its fruits. These are born in the next life, but again by the virtue of performing actions. The cycle repeats itself. Gautama, the Buddha, identified this vicious cycle and named it Sansara Chakra, which is a form of bondage of the self. It is easy to see why. Consider an analogy. You are stuck in a time loop, like the 1993 movie Groundhog Day. You wake up every day, which can be seen as analogous to being born. You live throughout the day, and when you sleep, it is equivalent to death. Repeating this cycle every day, without memory of the previous day, would result in endless monotony. Present-day existential philosophers may recognize it as an existential against a process without a purpose. In the context of multiple lives lived through rebirth, this despair can intensify to an even greater degree, from which even death cannot save, because this sense of entrapment, this endless cycle, is termed bondage. A release from this bondage is liberation or moksha. It is caused by the breaking of the endless cycle of rebirth. In Advaita Vedanta, the cycle is broken by realizing the true nature of self as an external, unchanging and blissful soul which is not affected by changes in the body. In Buddhism, the realization of reality as ever-changing and impermanent will result in nirvana, a concept similar to moksha. As everything is impermanent, there will not be any attachment to worldly objects. Hence, cessation of desire will occur. The role of karma, both as a law and as an action, has a significant role to play in the bondage and liberation of the soul. The karmas which have not yet begun to bear fruits are called karma. They are either already created by